So since our last conversation, have you had any um, termination conversations with any members?
I have not. I came across a conversation with a member in regards to coming off of a hold,
Okay.
but she primarily wanted to talk to Callie.
Okay.
I didn't write that number down. I have it written down somewhere, but um, this member got a message from Callie and pretty much wanted to talk to this person, to Callie. And I asked if I can be of any help. But I think as I was talking to Tiffany before, I didn't know I'm off. I got no picture going on here. As I was talking to Tiffany before, I want to kind of work on the holds conversations because I feel like that will help me get a little bit more repetitions in for the terminations.
Sure.
Just being able to speak with the members and getting my feet wet a little bit more about, why they're on hold, if they need to continue, or if we need to, whatever we need to do there. I feel like it'll get me a little bit more comfortable.
Okay. Well, one
How
thing
that
I
goes.
will push you on a little bit is um, don't be afraid to fail at this. Like,
Okay.
so don't put too much pressure on yourself. The the worst thing that happens with the termination conversation is they terminate, which is what they're trying to
Okay.
do anyways. So
Yeah.
it is honestly a very low risk on your end. You're a hero if you save them, but no one's looking at you as if you failed if they terminate. So
That's good.
think of it that way.
Hmm.
It's like a no lose situation for you,
Yeah.
and it's going to be uncomfortable at first, but it's like anything, just do it, 3 or 4 times, and each time you're going to feel a little bit better, and then it'll be no problem for you. So
Yeah. Because I mean, I felt pretty comfortable with Lori's conversation, but that didn't that didn't turn out well. But
that's fine.
I feel like I did all the right steps.
You did, and I swear to you, Joe, I looked at that and I was like, I'm so glad this happened. Lori is probably someone that I could have talked to, Tiffany could have talked to. No one would have convinced her otherwise. She was going to cancel, but I was really glad to see that you had the opportunity to go through the exercise with her.
Yeah.
So
It was very helpful.
yeah, so don't take that as like, oh, I failed, I need to step back and learn more before I try again. Like, just keep doing it.
Okay.
So
Good to know.
and we'll do these calls too, and then you and Josie can work with each other when you have the time. So what I want to do is, I've met with you individually, I've met with Josie individually. We went over the same thing, kind of introducing, the flow and the concept of how these conversations should go. And so I want you to practice in real situations, but then we can also practice real situations that have already happened in a role play
Okay.
fashion.
Very good.
So we'll dive into this example I have on the screen here in a minute. But before we do, let's just recap from last time. What is the process that that we're trying to follow, or what are things we're trying to identify and accomplish in these
Yeah,
conversations?
for sure. So I remember one of the most important things was to show compassion, right? So to understand why they are having this conversation with us. Another thing I remembered us speaking about is kind of confirming that objection, right? And to when you confirm that objection, kind of get in the best case scenario, like assuming the most positive thing, what their goal would be. And if that would be yes or no, and kind of uncovering more of the, I guess, quote unquote cards that they're not showing us.
Yep.
And once again, that kind of repeats itself to confirm that, so if that wasn't the issue, would you still want to continue based off of your goals? Um, um, yeah, so that's pretty much what I got.
Okay.
What I got out of there. And the 3-step thing, the education, which is the most important part, the loading, the hormones, nutrition are the 3 building blocks of regeneration.
Yep.
Am I far off from that?
No, you're hitting all the big things that we covered. So, the 3 steps you identified is like, first we want to, we want to identify the reason they want to cancel, and we want to show some compassion towards that, like you said. We want to confirm that that is the true reason that they want to cancel, and we do that by, like you said, making some statement about their goals. So like, hey, it seems like you still want to increase your bone density. Assuming that fill in the blank wasn't in the way, would you still want to continue?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
So now, what are some of the things that we want to do at the beginning? And you already mentioned some of them, but what are some of the pieces of information we want to identify early on in the conversation to help frame everything else we're going to talk about?
I guess you kind of want to know why, what the main reason is why they want to cancel.
Yeah.
I guess supporting evidence about that, like for Susan Johnson, for example, like pulling up her bone mineral density scans before and after to see the difference. I would pull up her growth triggers. I would also, I think those 2, and her wellness assessment.
Okay, so you get all the data and information together. You want to find out why they canceled. What else might you want to know?
I don't know. I guess other notes that maybe any sort of other coaches have been writing down about that, baseline measurements.
There's one critical piece that you mentioned kind of in the process that you were describing. So you want to know why they canceled, but you also want to know why they joined in the first place, right?
Gotcha. Why they joined in the first place? Okay.
Yeah. So what were their goals, and what led them to try, to start OsteoStrong? And then there was another piece that we had discussed on the phone related to their goals. Do you remember what that was? It was like after our Zoom meeting, we discussed it on the phone, and I asked you, I said, why is anyone ever disappointed?
Oh, because their expectations don't meet because that thing, so what they thought was going to happen didn't meet what actually happened.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
So understanding that, what would we want to know from them? What
they were expecting.
Exactly. So let's create this as like a little formula in our head so we can remember it. So what's the first thing that we want to know up front? Or what's 3 things we want to know up front before we even like either prior to the conversation or at the very start of the conversation? What are 3 things we want to know from
3 things you want to know is the objection.
So you're calling the objection why they want to cancel, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So why they want to cancel.
Yep.
Why they started.
Yep.
Right. And what they expected.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So we're just going to remember things in sets of 3. So those are the start of the conversation. And again, we want all these conversations to be casual, like you're talking to a friend, and you're being very friendly, but you're asking questions, and you do a great job at that anyways, but you can just you want to figure out those 3 pieces of information by asking questions.
Gotcha.
And those can be pretty direct questions.
All right. And once again, it's objection, their why they started, and their expectation.
So
remain.
so the word objection we typically are using for in the sales process when someone's objecting to joining. It's like they have an excuse or reason they're not joining. For canceling, let's just simplify the language so it's not confusing. Let's just call it the reason they want to cancel.
Okay.
Or the reason that they're saying they want to cancel.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we have the reason they want to cancel, the reason they started, and the expectations they had.
Gotcha.
Do you see like how all three pieces of those are very valuable to the conversation you're about to have with them?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For sure.
Okay, so once you have those three pieces of information, then you can the conversation is going to evolve naturally. You might have some questions about what they tell you with that, but then you can get to the 3-step process of what we were talking about with confirming that is the true reason.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I think you got a good handle on it. So let's look at this example. So this is Susan Johnson, who canceled 4 days ago.
Okay.
And this is her membership termination. So she wrote on her form, distance or relocation. I live in Cherry Creek. It is a long drive. Please provide any feedback. I was optimistic and excited about OS. After my bone density result, I feel it has done nothing to improve my bone health. And the background on this is that Susan never had a baseline scan through us.
Okay.
But she got a scan. I think she's done about 40 sessions, and she got a scan through Health Images, and she looked at the results of the scan and just said, it's not working, I want to cancel. So this is her results. So she has in her spine a T-score of -0.9, which is actually in the normal range.
Yeah.
Left femoral neck is -2.6, which is just over the osteoporosis threshold. And then total hip is a -3.1 or 2.1, which is osteopenia. And then her left radius, so radius refers to the forearm, is T-score -3.6. So that's her lowest one in osteoporosis category. So those are the results she saw, and this is her termination form. So that's all you really know at this point.
Okay.
So how might you approach this situation using the process we just discussed?
So prior to even having a conversation with her, we know that the objection is, well, at first it says that it's distance, right? But I think the other underlying card is that her expectation wasn't met because she had osteoporosis. So her expectation is that she was expecting to not be in osteoporosis. And the reason why she started, I don't have her wellness assessment, but I'm gonna guess that it was to increase bone density is one of the main things.
Yep.
So let's just say that is the reason why she started. And I guess it's kind of hard to say because you're comparing apples and like bananas, really. Nowhere near the same thing.
So let's actually role play this. Let's just say that you've looked at Susan's wellness assessment and it says that her, main goal was to improve bone density, and you had all that information prior to it. So she's done 40 sessions. She's been hitting her growth triggers. She was coming to improve her bone density, and then she got this scan and gave this reason. So now I'm Susan. So how might you approach the conversation?
I would start by saying, first of all, I appreciate you making the drive all the way out here. I know that Cherry Creek is a very far drive. So I do appreciate you taking time out of your day to come make that travel out this way. I received this termination in regards to saying that you didn't get the results that you wanted. Kind of going back to our DEXA scan results that we most recently received, it does look like you have osteoporosis in your wrist and your femoral neck, which is right on your hip area. And from my understanding that you joined here because you wanted to increase bone density. And those are all great things. Now, if seeing that we can see a change in your bone density is something, would you continue this process?
Sorry, I didn't hear the
I was just confirming the objections. Looking back at your wellness assessment when you first started with us, increasing bone density is something that we're looking to do. Is that something that you're looking to improve upon?
First, for just a second, did you say, is that something I'm still looking to improve upon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you're starting to cut off too. I get it. That'd be hard to see. So first step is to confirm the objection.
So let's just. I know it's hard, but let's just stay in the role play. So pretend like I'm actually Susan.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. So going back, Susan, I appreciate you making this drive all the way out from Cherry Creek. I know that is a drive, and I appreciate you coming out all this way. When you first started with us, increasing bone density is something that you wanted to improve. Is that something that you still want to improve upon?
Yeah, I would love for my bone density to be better.
I did notice that you did have a bone density scan here recently, and it did show that you have osteoporosis in your wrist and your femoral neck, which is like the leg bone that connects into the hip bone. And you've done 40 sessions with us, so you've completed a good amount of time with us. I guess my question to you is, if we were to see positive results in your bone density, would you still see that continuing OsteoStrong would be a benefit to you?
So you're saying would it be a benefit if my bone density was getting better?
Yeah, if you saw increase in your bone density, would you continue to do OsteoStrong?
Yeah, I mean that's why I was doing it to begin with. If I was seeing good results, I don't see why I would stop.
Awesome, and that's awesome to hear. Now, can I ask you a question? Have you that bone density scan? Have you gotten one in the past at all to see the difference or change over time?
Yeah, I got one 2 years ago through my insurance.
Okay, awesome, and that's great that you've been keeping up with that. So I guess what I'm trying to explain here is that the bone density scans are different, throughout. And the main thing we do is we want to really focus on seeing the change over time, which is the most important thing. But more importantly, is to see the change over time within the same aspect. And what I mean by that is that the consistency of data is very important. It's hands down the most important thing to show that you're increasing your bone density. And I understand that you have osteoporosis and it's very concerning to you, and I totally understand that. My mom has osteoporosis, and I see the scariness in that. And the main thing we want to focus is in seeing that difference, right? And unfortunately, because you got your bone density initially from your insurance, it wasn't the same as what you did recently. And the main focus of that is these bone density scans are different throughout, regardless of the different machines. They show different results there, right? And if you remember, do you remember what your bone density scan was when you got it through your insurance?
It was pretty similar. I had like pretty bad osteoporosis in my wrist and in my hip. So
Okay.
my spine has never really been a concern.
I understand, and I'm sorry to hear that you've gotten that same results there. So to see that you have osteoporosis in both scans, I guess it's kind of hard to see how we've been improving upon that though, right? We've been doing everything I guess my question to you is how you been feeling overall besides the scan aside? How have you been feeling as far as your overall strength, walking around, your balance, things such of that nature? How have you been feeling with that?
I mean, overall, I feel good, but you know, the main thing that I wanted to see in doing this was I wanted to see my bone health improve.
Understand that. And that's important to all of us to that you're seeing results, right? And that's kind of why we've been doing these baselines. If you remember, have you been getting the baselines pretty consistently, pretty regularly here at OsteoStrong?
Yeah.
Awesome. And have you been seeing improvements upon that?
Yeah, my balance improved a little bit, which is nice.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good. So with the improved balance, you have improved intrinsic core muscles and all the stabilizers that we've been doing and focusing on that. And seeing that positive result on that one should correlate to positive results in change over time, as I was explaining before, um, about the bone scan. Going back to what my original thing that I was saying is it's kind of hard to see the change over time if we don't take the bone scans from the same spot. Do you understand that?
I think so.
Okay, cool. So, like for example, if I were to weigh myself on scale A and I'm, for example, 200 pounds, and the other scale that says I'm 170, I'm gonna probably look at the better scale of the other one, right? Because it tells me a number that I want to see,
Mhm.
right? But in reality, it's if my main goal was to lose weight and the other scale said I started at a lower rate, the change over time would be better at scale A versus scale B, for example, right? And that's kind of the correlation that I want to bring to you with the DEXA scan is that it's very hard to tell the difference of two different DEXA scans, if you understand what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So what we look at is primarily is change over time, and we do these small baselines to pretty much see the difference and how you're improving. Now, normally with our balance, which is the number one leading cause of falling. Secondary to that, and you said we've been seeing improvements in your balance, which is awesome. Secondary to that, we see your change over time in your hand grip strength, which is the second most leading reason why we fall. Um, Big point is we don't want you to fall, we don't want you to hurt yourself, and more importantly, we don't want you to fracture yourself. Any bones going on in the future. And it seems like we've been seeing positive results in your hand grip strength. So these are all preventative measurements that we take here to make sure that we don't end in a fracture. And all the small things correlate to a positive chain result there. And it's kind of hard to tell the difference if OsteoStrong really hasn't been doing its job. But all the smaller baseline markers show that it has, such as your balance, like we were explaining, your hand grip strength. And because um, the DEXA scan that we provided you shows similar results to the one that your doctor sent you. So can I ask another question about when do you see your doctor next to see another result for that DEXA scan that you can potentially schedule?
I see them next year.
Awesome, next year. And to see a difference is the most important thing, right? Would you say that's what you're looking for
Yep.
in the graphical analysis of that, right?
Yes.
So we've been seeing changes. You know, you've been telling me you've been feeling better. You've been seeing changes, positive results in your balance and your hand grip strength. Um, Putting the graphs aside, how about we try this until you see another change in the time that you see your doctor next? Because if you want to compare, let's compare the exact measurements. Would you compare that, and then we can revamp and reassess again in the future when we see that? Is that something that you want to do?
Um, you know, I'm just not convinced this is working for me, and so I think for now, you know, I might come back at some point, but I think for now, I want to take some time off from this.
Okay. Um, well, going back to what we're saying, since your main objective was to increase bone density, can I ask you how your nutrition and all your nutrition and your hormone control has been? Have you been supplementing with different um, supplements to help increase the bone density?
Yeah,
Um,
I take calcium and vitamin D,
awesome,
and I don't
very
really
good.
have hormones. I've been through menopause, so
Okay, um, very good. Um, let me see here. So I guess the three things that we really focus, three main considerations of increasing bone density is osteogenic loading, which what we do here, the nutrition part, which you say that you kind of have that down altogether,
mhm.
and hormone control, or simple things of the parathyroid hormone not releasing enough, um, degenerating at a faster rate. That's something we don't really have control over, but the osteogenic loading issue is something that we focus here at OsteoStrong. And whatever the decision that you do make, I just want to make sure that we set you up for the right procedure to keep you going and keep you on the right track.
Mhm.
Yeah. So do you have any questions for me as far as what the plan is to go forward?
I don't think so. I think I'm just going to keep taking my supplements and doing my other exercise, and I'll wait till I see my doctor next year and see what he says.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll pause there. Um,
Yeah.
so, how did that feel?
Very stressful. I'm sweating, if you can tell.
Okay. Well, what was
um,
stressful about it?
yeah, that was the objections. Just the whole point of, I guess, you as Susan not understanding the comparison between different bone scans not leading to the same cause.
Okay.
But then again, right, and then you tell me that you're feeling better, right? That your posture's been getting better, your balance has been getting better, and your hand grip strength's been getting better. Those are all base signs that we check A, B, C, D. But because you didn't like the results that we provided you, which were the same exact things that your doctor provided you, um,
Did it,
that kind of turned you away.
sure. Did it feel conversational?
Not as well as I wanted it to.
Okay, why?
So I'll be real.
Well, no, I'm just asking. How did it feel on your end from a conversation standpoint?
Awkward on my end. I feel like I could have conversated a little bit, but it's hard to conversate with somebody that is, I guess, not understanding. I'm
Okay.
not saying that you're not understanding, but it's, excuse me. I guess that's the main focus. Kind of what I was saying beforehand is that you're not really comparing apples and apples,
Hmm.
and it's the results that we provided Susan were the same results that her doctor provided her.
Okay.
Um, and within 40 sessions, although that the growth triggers were hit, um, you know, building bone takes a lot longer than building muscle, right?
Yep.
And according to Susan, she has been taking her supplements, right? And she's been doing the osteogenic loading here for 40 sessions.
Hmm.
Um, should I explain more that it might take more than 40 sessions to see a difference in the bone? And that's a normal
Potentially,
thing?
but there's a few foundational things I want to coach you on first.
Okay.
So let's start with what was the process we identified in the beginning.
The objection, reason why the objection was,
Hmm.
or the reason, right? The reason why she wants to cancel, and that's because of distance, as she wrote on the termination paper.
Okay, and did you confirm that?
Um, I guess I didn't. I was compassionate about it, but I didn't confirm that with her.
Okay.
So
What was the second item?
the second item was the expectation of her not seeing the results here at OsteoStrong.
And did you? Well, so tell me all three things. So what are the three things we want to know in the beginning? You said the reason to cancel.
So the reason, okay, yep, why she started,
Okay.
which I confirmed, which was the increased bone density, and her expectation.
How did you confirm that?
The expectation part or the why she started?
Both.
So I made a comment on looking back at her wellness assessment, and it stated that she wanted to increase bone density. I think I asked you.
Is making a comment confirming it, or is it? Is it? In other words, what's the difference between a comment and a question?
Comment is more about assuming that is still her goal.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask you.
Yeah. So here would be my coaching points. Is one, you want to let them do more of the talking, and the way that you do that is through asking questions, especially in the beginning of the conversation.
Okay.
So there's really three main questions you should have in the beginning, and you shouldn't really have much else to say other than just listening.
Okay.
And maybe showing some compassion towards what they say.
Okay.
But you don't want to counter anything they say in the beginning.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
If you start countering from the beginning and start
get defensive.
Yeah, it feels like a combative situation. If I'm honest, I felt like I didn't really get a chance to share anything, and I was just listening to you talk and tell me things. And you said a lot of, I know as Greg that you said a lot of accurate and important information, but how that information is received is more important than the information itself.
100%. I totally agree. And just you saying that, that's kind of goes back to when Tiffany was recording me on my very first days of session coaching.
Yep.
I talk too much.
No,
and
okay.
I talk too fast.
So you just have to slow down a little bit, and we're just going to do the beginning of it again, and I just want you to ask me three questions, and I don't want you to say anything else. Even if I don't respond at first, I just want you to be silent. Okay, so we're just going to try that. I want you to ask me three questions on the three things you want to know. And here's the thing, Joe. Even if you're 99% sure that you already know the answer, that's not the point of asking me the question. The point of asking me the question is to bring me back to that space mentally and get me on the same page as you.
I like that. That's good. All right, cool. So Susan, so what brings you here today? Tell me a little bit what's going on.
I've just been thinking about this, and I think this is just a little bit too far of a commute for me. So I think I'm going to cancel my membership.
I understand. I totally get it. And I appreciate you taking that drive with us for the 40 sessions that you've been with us. And I know that that's been taking a toll, and I appreciate that. Can I ask you a question there, Susan? What made you start OsteoStrong in the first place?
Well, I wanted to increase my bone density.
Okay, increasing your bone density, and that's an important thing, especially for the age that's going on now and the hormone control and kind of just the scary stuff that's going on now. And I totally understand that increasing bone density is a very important thing for you. Another question I want to ask you is that when you started OsteoStrong, what was the expectation that you had with us?
Well, I figured if I did this for 6 months and was consistent with it, then I could get a scan and start to see improvements.
And awesome. Yeah, and I'm sorry.
I was saying that isn't happening for me.
Okay, I totally understand, and I'm sorry that that's not happening for you. Totally lost my train of thought right there. So going back to the expectation of seeing the difference, I'm going to explain something real quick. For the bone density increasing takes a lot longer. It's not like muscles, so bones, there's a lot of cells involved, and there's a lot of anatomical structures that come into play when increasing bone density, such as osteogenic loading, and that's what we do here. We cover that part down. Another important aspect is the nutrition part, because as you know, it doesn't matter what your goal is, whether you're running for and training for a triathlon, being a bodybuilder, or just increasing bone density. We want to make sure that your body is intaking the right supplementation. Can I ask you about how your nutrition is?
It's good. I eat very healthy and I take supplements.
Okay, awesome, and that's really good that you take supplements. How's your vitamin C, your vitamin K, and D? Uh, are those in the label of your supplements?
I believe so. I mean, I take a daily multivitamin.
Very good. Yeah, that was the first part, right?
Yeah. So I so how did prior to the part where you started thinking about what to say, how did it feel just asking the questions?
Very good. Way better than the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely think if I just take a step back and just, like you were saying, like ask the right questions, let you talk,
Yep. Exactly.
which is most important. Yep.
I mean,
Um,
you literally should be just sitting there, and the second I stop talking, all you do is ask me another question to get me talking
okay.
again. Okay.
So it's literally that kind of question. Okay.
Yeah. So I can't. I don't have much time left, but let me just model parts of this for you, so I can show you kind of how I would address this, and you can be Susan for a second and go through the similar thing. So,
Okay.
okay. Um, hey, Susan. Hey, this is Greg. I got your termination form. I just wanted to see if you had a quick minute. I just wanted to ask you a few questions. Is
Awesome.
is now an okay time?
Yeah, now it's a great time.
Okay, perfect. So I see here on your form that the reason that you wanted to terminate is because of the distance driving from Cherry Creek. Is that the case?
Yeah, just started taking up a little too much time of my day to drive 45 minutes to I'm not sure even how long it is, an hour each way,
Yeah,
um, back and forth.
yeah. No, I get that. What was the reason that you decided to join in the first place?
Um, well, I guess I wanted to increase my bone density.
Okay, and is that something that's still a goal of yours?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would say so.
And with regards to increasing your bone density with OsteoStrong, what were the expectations you had going into it?
Um, well, I wanted to see some increase in my bone density.
Okay, and what in your mind, what was an adequate amount of time in order to start seeing some results?
Well, I figured, 6 months of being consistent with this program, and just like your coaches were saying, to hit that growth trigger, which I was consistently hitting.
Yeah.
I thought 6 months I would see some sort of difference in my bone density, and I'm just not seeing that.
Okay, and I assume you say that you're not seeing that based on the scan that you just got with us.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And now, are you comparing? I don't see that you had an original baseline scan with us when you started. So, may I ask, like, what are you comparing the scan you just got to? Have you got a prior bone scan through someone else?
Yeah, I got a bone scan about 2 years ago. At my doctor's through the insurance, um, and it was the same company, but it was a different location though.
Okay, I see. Um, and So just a question for you. It sounds like you're frustrated that you aren't seeing the progress that you were hoping for. Would you say that that's disappointing?
Yeah, yeah, I would say that it's pretty disappointing.
And is the fact that you're frustrated and disappointed at the results, um, is that the reason that you don't want to continue, or is it truly the driving distance? Meaning, if you were getting the results you wanted, would you still be willing to make that commute from Cherry Creek, even though it's not the most convenient trip?
Yeah, it's not really convenient to me. I got kids I gotta drop off back and forth, but overall, the main reason why I joined was to increase my bone density.
Okay, so if this scan you just had would have showed positive results moving in the right direction, would you be willing to continue making that commute to do your sessions?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay. So I mean the commute is not ideal, right? But it sounds like
Yeah.
the it sounds like the results are really um, what is making you want to discontinue.
Yeah, I just wanted to see a little bit. I just wanted to feel a little better than I do. I feel
Yeah.
great when I leave, but overall, I'm just not feeling great. And the commute on top of that, with the kids starting back at school, it's really hard for me to find the time to do something that I'm not really seeing positive results on.
Okay. Yeah. No, I totally understand, and that's got to be frustrating. And when you say you're not feeling great, is that based on the results or based on something else?
I guess that's on the results. I was hoping to see, at least take me out of osteoporosis and maybe into osteopenia, any sort of change in difference because the other bone scan that I received from my other doctor did say the same, somewhat of the same kind of concept there.
Okay. And so you mentioned at the start of this that it sounds like increasing your bone density is still a goal of yours. I assume that that's an important goal. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
And so if you're and I totally understand why you're frustrated with the results you've had so far. But if you're going to discontinue OsteoStrong, do you mind if I ask what what your plan will be moving forward for increasing your bone density?
well, I was just gonna work out at Planet Fitness and do the whole resistance training program that I
Sure.
found online.
Yeah.
On top of the supplements that I'm taking there too, I just feel that I can get a better result in doing something more continuous and something close and closer to home.
Got it. Well, I just wanted to take a few minutes and have this conversation with you. The most important thing to me is that you have all the information you need to make the best decision for you and whatever plan works best for you. So I'm not here to convince you to stay at OsteoStrong or leave OsteoStrong. That decision is 100% up to you. But if it's okay with you, there are just a few things that I would like to share with you that I think are relevant to your situation. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Awesome. So just a couple things to note based on what you've told me. So just to kind of recap what we've discussed so far, you've done this for 6 months. You've got a bone scan from Health Images, and you're disappointed in the results, and you're just feeling like this isn't working, so you want to stop and go try something else. Is that a fair recap?
That's a fair recap. Yes.
Okay, so um, the the first thing I'll mention is, we should have done a better job with you, and I apologize for not doing a better job. We should have done a better job from the beginning, setting clear expectations for you. It's not very reasonable to expect to see really good results in increasing bone density in 6 months. It's simply not enough time. And a lot of times people that do this for an entire year, the first year, what they see is they see that their bone loss slows down or just completely stops, meaning the bone scan from when they started to a year later is the same. And believe it or not, that's actually a success when it comes to bone density, because most people are going to lose bone each and every year. And so if we can first just stop that loss, that is a big success. And then over time, we want to see that start to increase. But even if it never increased, even if it just stayed the same for the rest of your life and your bone never got weaker, would you consider that a success?
I've been seeing some testimonials that you guys have about people increasing bone density by like 12, 15%. And that's what I would consider a success. And I
Sure.
understand that everybody's different.
Mhm.
Um, but my main goal was to see some sort of improvement in my bone density.
Which I totally understand. And ultimately, that's our goal for you as well. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the bone scan you just received through us, that was through Health Images, our partnering imaging center. And the scan you got the first time, when was that again?
It was a couple years ago, 2 years ago.
Okay. So, and it was at a different imaging center, right?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so to really compare results and understand the effect that OsteoStrong's having, typically we want to get a really accurate baseline within about a month of the time you start OsteoStrong. So the fact that you had your scan, a year prior to starting, we don't actually know your exact starting point, because you more than likely lost bone from the time you had that scan and the time you started OsteoStrong. But secondarily to that, if you talk to radiologists, they'll tell you you can't really compare information from one scan, from one imaging center to another, because there's different machines and they're calibrated differently. And so that's why it's so important to get all of your scans at the same place on the same machine. So, in my opinion, the scan you just got, that can act as a baseline for you that we can compare against with future scans, but we can't really compare that to your prior scan. So, um, you know, the really the three things that I'd recommend that you put a plan together, and whether OsteoStrong is included in that plan or not is totally up to you. But you definitely want to make sure that you're taking care of your nutrients, because those are the building blocks for bone. And we have a lot of resources that we can share with you on making sure you have an adequate plan for that. The second is there's certain hormones that tie closely together with the nutrients that can affect how those nutrients are utilized and can impact your bone health. So we work with some doctors on that as well. And then the third piece is stressing and loading the bone. And you want to stress and load your bone safely, but you also need to put enough force on it. Now, I know you mentioned Planet Fitness, and I'm glad to see that you go to the gym, and that's really good for your overall health. But I can assure you that anything you do at Planet Fitness or other forms of normal exercise is not going to be enough stress on your bone to actually cause the body to strengthen the bone. Really, the two methods are really high impact exercise like gymnastics, or the osteogenic loading, which is what we do here. So that's OsteoStrong is not designed to be some magic solution for bone. It's really important that you take care of the nutrients and the hormone side as well, but you do need a way to safely stress your bone. So, um, you know, given that information, do you have any questions, or is that making sense in terms of why why we can't necessarily compare your scan to your previous one, even though it wasn't the results that you wanted?
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I kind of understand that. Do you guys provide another bone scan in about, well, I've been with you guys for about 6 months, and that was my very first scan with you guys. Do you guys provide another scan in, say, another year from now if I decide I want to continue, or how does that work?
Absolutely. And that, I mean, that, again, this is your decision. I want you to feel good about whatever you decide. But if you want to continue OsteoStrong, then that would be my recommendation, is that we take a look at your nutrients and maybe refer you to some of the doctors we work with on the hormone side, make sure everything looks good there. And then we can reevaluate a scan, a year from now and compare it to the scan that you just got and see what your results look like then. So is that something that would be of interest to you?
Yeah, I would say I'd be sold on that.
Okay.
If you can promise me I get another bone scan in a year.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, based on what I've told you, do you understand why 6 months is just not enough time?
Yeah, I think I can understand that. I've been in the gym for about 4 months, and I am seeing some differences in my musculature, and I'm feeling more toned and higher energy levels, but
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on inside, so I guess
Well,
that's a important thing to understand.
here's the way to think about it: is you start losing bone density in your 30s, right? So from age 30 to wherever you are now, that's probably 12 years for you. You look pretty young, but however many years that is, that's how long it's taking you to get to the point that you're at now. So most of our members in here have experienced decades of bone loss. And do you think it sounds reasonable to reverse decades of bone loss in 6 months?
I like that. No, I don't. You're totally right. My trainer told me that I can't reverse years and years of unhealthy eating in a few weeks. So I guess I hear the same concept from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, we tell everyone, you want to take care of those three categories, but the fourth thing is you have to be patient. You have to give it enough time, and you have to stick with it. Now, if after doing this for, say, 2 years, obviously, if you're not seeing any progress then and things are continuing to get worse, then obviously we need to reevaluate. But after 6 months, I would hate to see you stop at this point, because I feel like you've already put in a lot of work. And if you just continue and we make some improvements, we'd love to reevaluate that and get a really accurate follow-up measurement for you.
I like that.
So, so I'll stop there. I mean, regardless of getting into the semantics of the things I'm saying, it's really about what I really want you to take a look at, and I'll send you the recording, is how much am I talking versus how much are you talking, especially in the beginning. Like, how many questions am I asking you? And am I countering anything that you're saying in the beginning, or am I just gathering all the information?
Mm-hmm.
And then later, so it's kind of like we talked about. What I'm doing in my head is I'm getting you to give me all of your cards first.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not playing a single one of my cards. I know what my cards are, and I'm figuring out what cards I'm going to play as I'm gathering your cards. But I'm not playing a single one of them until I've got all the information I need from you.
Yeah. So yeah, it seems like her main goals or her expectation wasn't met. And when we going forward, if I'm going to have that conversation with her, I'd love to just chat with her about what her expectations were. And you made a good point about 6 months. It's not only for 6 months. It's you won't really see decades of bone loss reversed in 6 months. Secondary to that, a good question is back in the beginning, is that still my goal of you asking me increasing bone density, blah, blah, blah. And then you confirm that, which is important too. Another part there is you restated what I said, and hearing you say it, it's just like, wow, did I really, that's how I sound? And that kind of sold it for me. Yeah. So when you reinstated everything that I said, after you saw my cards and you called all my cards out, And I sat there like, yeah, you're totally right. I get it. So I
Did it,
like that.
so
Yeah.
from your end of that conversation, did it feel like I was selling to you?
No, no, it seemed like you were just having a conversation with me
Okay.
and just pretty much seeing how I feel about things.
Was I trying to make the decision for you?
Nope, nope, because every single instance there you said doesn't matter like what my goal was. You just want to make sure I have a plan to be set, and that's an important part there too, because that kind of breaks that psychological threshold
Yeah.
of being standoffish. You know?
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
and, and I and I also said, I'm not here to try to tell you to continue Osteo Strong or to discontinue Osteo Strong. That decision's completely up to you and what works best for you.
yeah,
So letting them maintain that control.
yeah, yep. And then just you already know what my cards are, and you haven't played yours yet. Um, yeah, that was pretty super helpful right
Okay.
there.
And then I also like to ask for, so one trick when you go to play your cards, ask for permission to play them. Did you notice how
Okay.
I did that?
Um, yeah. If you mentioned if you can give a like if you can give me information, pretty
Yeah.
much is what you somewhere in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
said, I totally understand where you're coming from. I totally understand you're frustrated. I recapped what you told me to confirm it, and then I asked you for permission if I can share some things with you that might be helpful.
Gotcha. Share helpful information.
And the whole
Good.
goal, and same thing with my tonality and everything. The whole goal is you don't want this to be combative.
Okay.
You are a counselor to them,
Yeah,
right? So that's
I
where,
get it.
yeah. So awesome, man. Well, good job. So I'll send you the recording, and then I'll go through this with Josie too, and then we can keep scheduling calls and practicing these. But you guys can practice these scenarios with each other. We have the
Yeah,
framework
for
in
sure.
place. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're in this scenario, when you're Susan, you should be thinking about analyzing me and am I following the framework,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then
Right.
same thing the other way.
Yeah.
Um, so you should be asking like, did I identify the reason you want to terminate and did I confirm it? Did I identify the reason you wanted to join and did I confirm it? Did I identify your
Yeah.
expectations? Like all of those things, like check, 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 check.
Yep.
And if at the end of all that the person decides to cancel, they cancel. But then we know that we've had an honest conversation with them, we've shared resources with them, we've talked through it, and they just made the decision they felt was best for them.
Yeah. That recap part was really important there too. So objection confirm, why I started confirm it, expectation confirm, and then the full recap. When you did that full recap, I was able to understand how I was talking because you explained that to me. So
Yeah.
that was huge. That
Yep.
was huge on that
And
part.
that's what
So
I, and that's a perfect example of what I said earlier. It's not that I need to recap it to confirm it for myself. I'm recapping it so that you hear it and you're on the same page as me.
yeah. So you can you can you can reiterate how dumb I sound pretty
Well,
much.
it's not how
Not
dumb.
like
It's
that,
just
but not
we're
like
just
that.
we're just
It's not.
sticking. We're
Yeah.
just um, we're agreeing that we understand each other.
Right. I didn't mean it like
Yeah,
that.
no.
No, for sure.
In some cases, the person might feel that way depending on what
Yeah.
it is. But
Yeah.
in other cases, it's just saying like it's me telling you that I heard you, and the fact that I can repeat it back to you, you know that I heard you and I understand.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Awesome.
So
Very, very good. I think like I really do think that these do help, especially on scenarios that I'm about to have.
mhm.
I'm not sure when Susan's coming back in or if I should give her a phone call. How would I follow up with her about that? I know it's got to be a phone call, not
Yeah.
really email.
Yeah, I would. You has she already canceled, or is she still coming in? I'm not sure.
I believe that she put the termination request in. Um, Let me see when she's coming in next, if she is. No, so she's got no appointments on the schedule anymore.
Okay, well, yeah, you could potentially call her. I don't know if her membership is typically her membership would be good through the end of September. I don't know if we've made an exception or and are ending it at the end of August or not. So I would
Okay.
touch base with Callie on that. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome.
the last thing I'll point out that I did intentionally is I didn't when it came to the 6 month expectation, I didn't want to make her feel stupid about having that expectation. I blamed our team or ourselves. I took the responsibility for
Yeah.
it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So you said that I apologize on behalf of OsteoStrong for not setting that expectation
Yeah, we should have
about
done a
the
better
length.
job explaining
We should
this
have
to
done a
you from the
better.
beginning.
Yep. Yeah. I like that. Good. Yep. Cool.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll send this to you and Josie, but keep up the good work.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much, Greg.
Yeah, and just again,
Awesome.
I'll just end this with saying, just you got to dive headfirst into the deep end on this stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about the
Sink
sharks.
or swim, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, these really do help, Greg, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to help.
Oh man, of course. I'm happy to do it. So we'll keep doing it.
Awesome. Have fun tonight, man.
All right. See you, Joe.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.